Hello friends, welcome to another video. In this video we're going to look into 5 different ways how you can exclude measures from calculation groups. Basically the measures on which you don't want to apply the calculations, how to exclude those measures. I'm going to assume that you already know how to create a calculation groups, what the calculation groups are and all that stuff. So I'm gonna not spend time explaining that, but actually focus on how to exclude the measures. To explain the actual problem, let's get to Power BI desktop and look at all these different solutions which are available and how they're different than each other, and how some might be, depending on your needs, some might be better solution than others. So let's get to Power BI desktop. So here in Power BI desktop, I have one calculation group called Analyze What. I will just explain what that is, and I also created a measure to show the title based on the year which you have selected. So if I selected 2018, so this changes to selected year. So that's a simple measure, and then I have a calculation group. This is coming from my date dimension as in a slicer, and then I have this Analyze What calculation group. So just quickly show you the calculation group. What I have is a Analyze What calculation group. It has two calculation items. One is quantity, which is just returning the sum of quantity, that is a measure, and then I have a sales, which is returning sum of sales. So it's pretty straightforward. I'm using those calculation groups here in my matrix visual. As you can see, the columns I have analyze what, and then used any measure you use does not matter, because the calculation groups, the calculation item of the calculation group will return what we have put in the calculation item. So it's showing the sales and the quantity, everything is working fine. So this is a very simple a calculation group use case. Now the question comes down to is this selected year 2018, which is just a measure. I called it title, whatever, and then I have this calculation in here. So this is working perfectly fine, but here is the problem why you want to exclude the measures from your calculation items in calculation groups. So for example, in this matrix visual, I just want to, because I'm using Analyze What as a slicer, I just want to see the quantity or see the dollar sales. Let's say if you have a lot more calculation items, you want to only see the few calculations here in your matrix visual, so you put that as a slicer. In other calculation group related videos, I've shown all this stuff, like how calculation groups can be used to select what you want to see. So here, if I select a calculation item or in a slicer, as soon as I select that, and you can see this, my title measure is now start showing me the total sales, and if I select the quantity, it shows me the quantity. So that's actually a problem. That's what is this video all about, how we exclude this measure not to be used in the calculation. So it should return whatever the value of this measure is, and then any for everything else it should apply the logic. So to do so, so I'm gonna go through one by one different methods how we can do that. To do so, we need to go into the calculation item and put this as an exclusion. So the first method is I'm going to use is selected measure name. So we can use here in my calculation item, I am putting this condition. If my selected measure name, this is a DAX function, it returns the measure which is currently used is called title whatever, because that's the name of the measure, the title whatever. Then what we want is we just want to return title whatever, because we don't want to return the sales in that case. So basically what we're doing is we are excluding this measure, that don't apply this logic, that don't return the sales when I'm using the title whatever measure. So if I apply these changes, so let's go back to Power BI. So now if I, once this is done, if I apply the sales, as you can see now my this KPI, the card visual does not change because now we excluded in our calculation item. But if I select quantity, it shows the quantity. It means we need to apply the same logic if selected my title whatever in this quantity calculation item as well. Basically we have to apply in each and every calculation item. So this is the one way how you can do that. So if we have more than two measures to exclude, then we have say or selected measure name. Let's say we have another title and then we can say another measure we want to exclude. So then what would be our, so if selected measure name is title whatever, or let's say my other measure name is called title ABC. I don't have that right now, but let's say if that's the case, then I have to do this. So I have to go or like the number of measures which I want to exclude, I have to put that in the condition. So this works fine, but there are a couple of challenges. One of the challenges, if you have more measures, you have to keep on adding that. You have to make sure that you're coming to the calculation item and then applying the changes. And also the challenge with this is, if I rename, because I'm hard coded here the title whatever, if I rename my measure name to something else, this would not work. So let's quickly take a look at that. Let's say I called it title whatever and I change it to title new, and now in this particular case I change my measure name, which is very rare you will do, but let's say if we did it title whatever to title new. Now if I go sales, and now we have the same problem, because in comparison in the exclusion we explicit mention there that we want type the name of the measure is title whatever. So this works fine if you have one or two measures and you don't want to rename, this perfectly fine, but otherwise this is not a scalable solution. Okay, so now let's get to the solution number two. The second solution is that you can, here you can say contains string, let's say contains string selected measure name, and then assuming that we made some sort of a logic that any measures we want to exclude, maybe we put the exclude word in that, or maybe exclude from calculation groups, or whatever you want to call it. Let's say whatever the measures I want to exclude from my calculation groups, I don't want to have the calculation groups applied on those. I make these conventions, made this convention in my report that any measure I want to exclude, I want to make sure the name of the measure contains the word exclude. So what we're going to do here is, so let's we're going to return the selected value, because it could be any measure, selected measure. So now what does this means is, this is a little bit scalable solution. So right now it's not working, but let's say if I come to this measure and say title year, and then I put make sure the word I'm putting in the measure called exclude. So whatever contains string is going to check, it's going to look into the selected measure name. If exclude word is there, then it's going to exclude it. Then it does not matter what the rest of the name of the measure is called. As far as there is an exclude or whatever the convention you want to use, it will be excluded. So let's do that. Let's apply this measure name change. So now see, as soon as I have sales selected, it is showing the selected year 2018. So if I have any other measure, or I change it to something else, I say year exclude title. As far as there is a name, if there's a word exclude in the measure name, it's gonna work. So it means if I have like a 20 measures which I want to exclude from the calculation groups, so I will make sure that the measures names are have the exclude word in it, and then all those measures will be excluded. So this method works better than the previous one, because you have a one logic but want to make sure that exclude word is included, or whatever the convention you use, and then the calculation group will not applied on those particular measures. So this is really a scalable solution. I mean, this can work, but again, you have to make sure that you're following the convention. If you create a measure on which you don't want to apply the calculation group, then if you don't have the exclude word in it, it will apply the calculation group calculation on that. So that's the second method. So what is the third method? The third method is using the ISSELECTEDMEASURE solution. So let's go back to into calculation group. So instead of using this, we can use ISSELECTEDMEASURE. Then here we need to make sure we give the measure which we want to exclude. So let's say it's called the title, whatever we call it here, exclude title. Now we don't need to have the measure name called the year exclude title, could be anything. So you can give more than one number of measures here. So let's say we also have another measure which we want to exclude, that is called my measure. I just put so, and so what we're saying is, if the selected measure is one of these measures, then don't apply the calculation, then just return whatever that measure contains, or whatever the calculation is that measure is, otherwise return the sales, sum of sales. So let's apply this. It's going to give me the error because we want to make sure that there is the measure exists in the model. So I don't have a my measure in here, but let's add a measure in this create new measure, call it my measure, and just give the value test. So that's one of my measure, and apply the changes. My measure. Oh, sorry, this is not called my, the name of the measure has, the measure should exist in your model. So if now year exclude title and my measure and apply, yeah, now it works. So basically what I'm telling it is selected measure, that if any of these two measures are being used, then return whatever is in those measures, otherwise return sales. So let's get back here. I'm gonna make a duplicate copy of this and then put my measure which we just created, and also in here. So it's showing. So now we have selected the sales. If we select the sales, it's returning whatever those measures supposed to return. If I go to quantity, of course they are not going to work because we haven't applied this change on the quantity. And so if we go to the sales, now the beauty about this is, if I change the name of the measure, instead of measures I call it measures new. I don't need to go back to my is selected measure because automatically it will be changed. And let's see, if I go exclude the one which we have, other one, instead of year exclude title, I want to call it title year. So my is selected measures will automatically rename those measures in the calculation items as well. So as you can see, if we select the sales, it's still working. So if we go back to our models, as you can see, in the calculation group, it's changed from title year to measure new automatically. So this is a very, very scalable solution. This is really one of my favorite. You can actually have all the measures in here, and whatever the new measure you add and you want to exclude, you just come here and add it in the list, and that's worked perfectly fine. So this is pretty good. And if you rename the measures, it automatically works as well, because it will rename the measures in this particular is selected measure condition as well. So this is the third method. So we looked in the contains, the first method is selected measure name. Second, we used contain string with the selected measure name. And this one is the is selected measure, where we gave the name of the measures which we want to exclude. The fourth method we can use to exclude measure is by using a table which will contain the list of the measures which we want to exclude. Again, this table can be stored anywhere. The only one column we need is the name of the measure. To do so, to use this, I'm going to create a table within Power BI just for the demo purpose. But this can be stored outside, like in a Microsoft list or a SharePoint list or a Excel sheet or some other ways. So I'm going to call it exclude Myers, that name of the table, and the column is also exclude Myers. So whatever the Myers we want to exclude, I'm going to put it in here. So let's one is called we want to exclude title year and measure new. So these are the two which we want to exclude. So once this table is in the model, once this is loaded, so what we need to do is go back to our calculation items, and here instead of using is selected measure, which was our third method, so we can use here is selected measure name in values. So we're going to take the values, so basically a list of all the measures in our this new table. So let's grab it here and make it in exclude measure. So basically what we are saying is if the selected measure name is in that table, then just return whatever that measure is supposed to, whatever is the calculation in the measure, otherwise return the sales. So if I apply these changes here, now here you go. So this is working perfectly fine. Of course, in sales of quantity, it would not work. But let's say if I go and change the name of the measure, I call it title year new. Now, unfortunately, again, we're going to run into the issue. This one would not work here because this is where we use a title year. And the exclude measure is specific is the name, because again, this is a comparison of the string or the text. Again, if you look at the exclude measure, this is title year and measure new. So if for example, if this was an external table, I just go there and rename my title year to title year new, or add as in a new row as a title year new, then it would have worked. So let's quickly do this in here. But it is comparatively selective, a scalable solution, because if you are maintaining a table outside somewhere, you can quickly go add the row in the table, or or rename existing measures if that's the case, and then refresh of the data set would take care of everything. You don't need to do anything in the model. So let's add another row here is called title year new, and close and apply. So if we go back to our visualization, so here you go, this is now working fine because we have the external list of the measures which we want to exclude, and then we put the condition in our contains string. Okay, selected measure name is in any of those values which is in the table, then exclude those calculations. So this is our fourth method. This is pretty scalable. I like this method. You can extend it in a different ways as well. You can have the keywords maybe in that and then use those. There's a lot more combinations. You can make a lot more scalability if you wanted to. So there is one more method which I wanted to show. In this method, again, you just want to make sure if you rename the measure, it does not automatically apply the change until that renamed measure or the new measure is part of the list in the exclusion list. So the fifth method I'm going to talk about is using the new field parameters. So let's take a look at the fifth method. In this method, what we're going to do is we're going to create a new field parameter features. I also have a video on the field parameters. I will share the link in the description. Do check out that video. But what we're going to do is create a new field parameter of the measures which we want to exclude. So what we're going to do is let's call it exclude measures. Maybe field parameter, just because we already have a table with that name. Field parameter exclude measures. So the measures which I want to exclude is title, year new, because that's the measure, and the other one is measure new. So those are the two measures. If I have more measures which I want to exclude, I can really add those as well. So basically any measures which I want to exclude, I will put it in this table and create. So If we look at the field parameters, what we have here is, I don't want to use this as a slicer, so this is just I want to create a table. So if I go and look into this new table, so what we have here is we have a field which is giving me the name of the measure and a title, a name of the measure, and the ordinal. So we are only interested in this one, but one challenge with this one is it automatically add the table name with the measure name, which is against the best practices, but this is how it works. So before I go further about how we're going to use it, the advantage of this is if we go back and rename our measures, let's go back to title year new and call it title year, and for whatever reason we want to change it, the measure name will automatically change in the field parameters. So if we go back to the field parameter table, so the original title, the column for the title remains the same, but the actual value, the fields which is being used, is automatically renamed. And we cannot use this particular column, which is the first one, to be as our to check the condition. So we need to use this one, but to use this one we need to extract the measure name out of this and then use that. So how we're going to do that, what we can do is we can add another column in this table and then use it against that. So let's add another column in this particular table. All right, so we need to get the measure name, and the measure name is actually whatever is within the square bracket. So I already have a code. I'm going to copy here. So basically what we're doing is we are finding the starting position of the square bracket and the ending position, and that we know the number of characters we need, and then we are getting the actual measure name. So it should show up in here in this column, measure name. So as you can see, it's the title year and measure name new are the actual name of the measures. Again, quickly, the point here is if we change the name of the measure, title year new, for example, and the calculation group, sorry, in the field parameters, this measure name will automatically change. So let's quickly double check that. So go to the table view. So here you go. So it changes title year new here in the fields, and then whatever we are extracting, what we are interested in, this one. So title year new. Now once we have this new table, we already have the logic which we use for the exclude measures. It's the same thing. What we're going to do is fp underscore the new table which we created using field parameters. So this is fp exclude measures, and the name of the column will be the new column name. Actually, let me grab that measure name in here so that there's no mistake in the column and table name. So now the logic is same whether we are using the external table where we are maintaining the measures name manually, or we are created field parameters and then extracted the measure name. So this logic remains the same, and then apply the changes, and perfect. So let's get back here, and now everything is working as expected. The good part of this is if we change the name of the measure, it would not, that the field parameter would still work. As I said, the field parameters and maintain the external table, the logic is same. In the external table case, we have to go and manually make sure to change the name of the measures. With the field parameters, if we rename the measures, we still it will be automatically updated in the measure name, so we don't have to go back and change. Again, as you saw, just to quickly summarize all the stuff, we need to exclude sometimes the measure on which we don't want to apply the calculations from our calculation groups, and there are many ways we have to do that. We looked into selected measure name function, which return the name of the measure. So we use the equal to compare it. The only problem with that is if we rename the measure, it does not work. Then we use the contained string and the selected measure name, and that's a method 2. and then we made sure we want to make sure that we are using some sort of a convention what we want to exclude, and let's say in this particular case I use the word exclude, and then all those measures will be excluded. So it's pretty scalable solution, keeping in mind that you are making sure the measure name has been include the word on which we want to apply this exclusion. Third method, we use the ISSELECTEDMEASURE, and then we can have ISSELECTEDMEASURE and the name of measures. The beauty of this is you can give multiple number of measures in this, and if you rename the measures, the changes will be applied. Again, if you add a new measure, you want to exclude a new measure, you have to go back in the calculation item and put it in the list. The fourth method is, maintaining somewhere the list of measures you want to exclude. Doesn't matter what the name is and all that stuff, and the selected measure names will check the list in the table, all the values in the column, and then excludes that. That's pretty scalable. If it's outside, you go back and add the measures in there or rename the measures, and it works. The fifth and last method, which I explained, was more using field parameters. So the beauty, it's similar to the fourth method, maintaining a external measure list. But the field parameters, the beauty about this is if you rename a measures, it automatically get applied. You don't have to do any extra work. But in both the cases, external sheets or the field parameter, as a matter of fact, any of these solutions, if you want to exclude a new measure which is already not in the list, you have to make sure you go and make the changes there. I hope you found this video useful. You found few different DAX functions, how they work, how you can use those functions, and then you can maybe come up with some other interesting way to solve this. Let me know what method you guys think works for you, and how you are doing it. Is there any other way to do that? I will be really like to hear that. Until next video, have a great day. Do subscribe my channel for the upcoming videos. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Thank you.